Testing. 1, 2. 1, 2. What's up, guys? Big J, Auto Refinery. Today we're gonna install some parts that I've amassed, cleaned, got ready, ordered new. Just a whole hodgepodge of great hot rod parts. But I've never done it before, and so there may be some swearing. I think I'm gonna have my son come down in a bit. He's gonna help out. And yeah, well, I'll flip the camera around and show you what we have. All right, so this is the table. Cleaned up a bit. I'm in my Sunday best because all of these parts are perfectly clean. We've got the control arms, spindles, shocks, springs, dust shield, backing plate, bolts, hardware. Those are control arm bumpers. We bought new hardware here. Frame's perfectly clean. So we bought this kit from, we bought all the bolts and bumpers, and these all come from Inline Tube. I really like that company, actually. First time ordering, but all their stuff looks really nice. Bolts they're not exact, but you know, we got the circle pretty close to factory. So I'm pretty excited, hoping that this goes well. Should. We'll start with the lower control arms. I'm gonna have Seamus come down and I think we'll put the bumpers on that, and then we'll go from there. All right, here we go. All right, there's the boy. It's my son Seamus. He recently started working actually at a power sport company. He's thinking that's funny. He's gonna put the bumpers on. That's the last you're gonna see him, even though he's very handsome. Great mullet. So these have a little nub on them. Bolt goes in one. Here is the item number from Inline Tube. So he's gonna work on those two. I have all the faith in the world in him. Doing great, son. Looking great too. Once he's done with that, we will start on that lower control. All right, so I have my baby girl here, Cora. She's helping me out with the ELCAMINO. She's actually down here more than any of my other kids, so maybe it's going to be yours. What do you think about that? Mm-hmm. What color do you want to paint it?
I like it red with black stripes.
I like that too. All right, so I'm going to tighten up this bolt. You just hold that top end. All right?
This part?
Yep. Let's actually switch to this one. All right, can you hold that right there?
Right here.
Yeah, perfect. You're doing great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, it's gonna want to spin on you, so hold it tight. Use those big muscles. All right, I'll hold my finger here. You hold the end of this wrench here.
Right here?
Yeah, you're gonna feel it want to spin. Oh Lord, we don't want to do that.
Why?
Well, because we might chip the paint.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Don't do that!
I'm sorry. We need to get a blanket or something. Joe, it's not moving at all. Cora.
What?
I just hit the frame again. You're supposed to tell me not to do that.
Don't do that!
I'm sorry. Just rest these muscles. You did great. All right, kid. You did great. And think about it. But when you have kids, you can say, listen, I installed my first ball joint when I was like 6 years old.
I don't think I'm going to remember that.
I don't think so either. All right, so the springs we have are for big block Chevys. Rather long. So we have to compress them to make it much easier to fit them in between the upper and the lower control arms. I am slightly worried about this because I've heard horror stories of people, you know, taking a spring to the forehead. So I've got a spring compressor. I've got it in here. I looked up on YouTube and I saw one guy had a pretty good idea. Sticking dowels in between a spring compressor that's internal, not one of those outside ones. I'm not doing that. Sorry. So you take these dowels and you just kind of shove them in there. As you compress the spring, it basically holds the spring compressor in the center of the spring. So it can't slide and loosen up and go crazy. And by go crazy, I mean like hit me in the face at 147 miles an hour. I gotta tell you, I'm nervous. All right, so here's the front spring, one of the front springs, compressed from about 18 and a half down to 13 and a half. So we're gonna hopefully get that to fit in. That's what I use. And as you can see, I'm nervous. I hear stories that these things slip, these spring compressors, and then release all the, you know, energy that's stored up in it being so compressed. So now this guy really can't move around and, you know, come unhooked. All right, we got the spring in. The spring is very obvious where it goes up inside the frame. There's like a little cup, so the spring goes around that. So now that's where I want it. It's just in there. And now it's time to put the spindle in. Attach the bottom with the Kessel nut. Okay. Get that on there. That will jack up the lower control arm. All right, so I got a ratchet strap hooked up. Everything should be. That looks good. It's around the bottom of the spindle. Ratchet strap back to the frame. I just need to compress the spring about a ½ inch more just to get the top castle nut started to thread. So without any weight, due to no motor, you know, we're just kind of forced to get creative with this. So let's hope this works. Again, I don't want to take a spring in the face. Kind of like the teeth where they are. All right. Boom. That worked really well. That worked great. All right, I'll take this all off and we'll show you what I got. All right, so spindle in. Not completely tightened, but in. Spring in. So this I'm gonna definitely say is a win. You know, this one, I had to wait a bit to do this one to it just scared me. I heard a lot of horror stories about springs releasing the tension towards somebody's face. So I don't know. The blocks, they made me feel better doing it. So what's the problem with that? So yeah, now I just have to tighten all this up. I can put the, start putting brake components on. I do have a bit of an issue at this point. The spring compressor, right, you guys are probably familiar with this, has these little bolted on hooks that go, they grab the spring, right, actually like this. That's in the center of the spring. So one of them, let's get a little, see that little tab right there? Well, that's one of the hooks, and it is now stuck. All right, let's start here. This little rod, these washers, this pipe. This is a tool that I made to compress the spring to remove it, okay? It basically goes in where the shock bolts through, up top. You slide this all the way down. This picks up the lower control arm, and you washer it, put a nut, okay, and then as it's changing the angle, it's got this oblong hole so it can kind of move with the angle of the lower control arm. So I made one to remove the existing ones from the frame when it was all nasty before we redid it all. It was just a plate, so I'm thinking this one's gonna work a little bit better. So what I think I can do is install this in there, unbolt the spindle, and then I can control letting it down until that spring loosens up enough. Hopefully it still stays seated, and I can just kind of bring it back up with it. I couldn't use this to install the spring because I couldn't get that pipe all the way through with the control arm all the way down. I had to have the spring compressed before I put it in, but now that the spring is in, it's just bound up with, tools that I need to get out. I think this will work. So this will be the maiden spring compression with this little guy. All right, so we got the spring decompressed, got the little clip out. This guy, we'll deal with this tool at a later date. Basically this stud, when I had it completely compressed, the end of it was sticking up past the spring, which would have hit the inner frame. So I cheated the hooks down lower, which ended up becoming that problem. So what I'm going to do is just cut 1.5 inches off of this, and that should fix the problem. But long story short, everything is back in. Springs are good. I'm going to put the backing plate, the caliper bracket, the dust shield on, and then the sway bar. I got a new sway bar, and we'll be done slightly with the front suspension. So So that all worked out. Then we'll do the brakes. And we'll go from there. Now, I do have to come clean on something here. I did not grow up doing this when I was growing up. I didn't work on cars like Steve and like a lot of you guys did, or I always loved cars. I had ELCAMINOs, but somebody else worked on them. I didn't really, it was too intimidating. I didn't want to be bad at it, so I didn't ever really get into it. So if anyone's watching and they love it, they want to learn more about it, maybe you have a buddy that does it, I would just say to, get into it. Get into it deeper. Have confidence that you'll be able to figure it out. Like I said, this was extremely intimidating to me. The danger factor was high, but all of this really. And then I just decided that I'm just gonna do it. What's the worst that can happen? It never runs. It never leaves the garage. I don't even have a garage door to get it out. So if it never is finished, it's less work for me. I don't have to cut a garage door then. But in all seriousness, it's been a really great thing for me doing this all. I feel really good about it. So you don't have to know how to do all this stuff to do all this stuff. You can look up stuff on YouTube. You can do it, make mistakes, learn from it, figure it out. But yeah, I'm not really, Steve's on a whole nother level. Sometimes he'll ask me a question, I have to like fake a sneeze to get out of answering it. Because I don't know what he's talking about sometimes. Because I'm not a mechanic at all. I'm just somebody who wants to learn. One sec. You stay. Let me just grab something. God! Can you grab this? I'd hate to. Alright. I don't know if that did exactly what we want. These are great shape for doing exactly this, just adding a little bit of leverage. So I think all right, let's see.
I'm going for a drive.
All right, bud.
What time are you going to
4 o'clock. All right, I'm filming you little